So in the year model, year stand for entity and relation. So entity relationship model is called year model. Year model is not an implementable model. We can write the year model in the form of some diagrams where we have the entity and it will tell you about the entity and the relationship between them. Entity is nothing but any object, any living or non-living object, we can say it is an entity. And every entity is associated with some attributes, its property. So if we'll talk about table, table has property, right? What type of table it is, what is a height, what is a length, what is a color, all those things. If we'll talk about a person, person has its ID, its name, its address, its phone number, its age, its sexuality, whether it's a male or female or transgender. So it is all the property related to one particular entity or one particular object, right? Now, what is an entity set? Entity set is nothing but the combination of the same entity is called entity set. So in this particular example, as you can see, we have customer attribute. So these are the attribute of the customer entity, and we have many customers available. So this is called entity set. This is called customer entity set. In the same way, this is the loan table or loan attribute, loan entity, and it has many attribute. And it is also called loan entity set. Getting it? Now let's talk about a relationship set. What is the meaning of relationship set? So we have seen entity set. Now let's talk about relationship set. Two entity set, between two entity set, if we have a relation, that is called relation set. That's all. In between two entity set, if we have a relation, that is called relation set. So we have a customer, we have account. In these two entity, we have a relation called depositor. Customer is a depositor into account. So what is the relationship between customer and the account? So customer is a depositor into the account, or customer is a withdrawal of the from the account, right? So customer can do withdrawal the money or can deposit the money. That is the relationship between the account and the customer. So that is one relationship set between two entity set. With the diagram, as you can see, there is a customer. So we have a customer, let's say Smith. So Smith has loan. So Smith is related to L23 loan, and the loan amount is $2,000. And Smith has another loan, L11 loan. This is the loan ID, L11 loan ID, and the loan amount is, let's say, $900. So as you can see in this particular diagram, one entity is related to another entity. One instance of the entity is related to another instance of the entity. Then this relation between two entity are called entity set, because it is the entity and this is the entity. This is called entity set. This is also called entity set. Relationship between two entity set are called relation set. Getting it? Relationship between two entity set is called relationship or relationship set. So what type of relationship it is? It is one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-one, many-to-many. So what type of relationship it is? So let's see this. John has only one loan. Smith has two loans. William also has one loan. But this one loan, this is L17 type of loan, is taken by John as well as William. So from here also we have N, and here also we have N. So it will be many-to-many relationship. Getting it? So what type of relationship between these two entities set? It is many-to-many relationship. What is the relationship between faculty table, faculty entity set and the student entity set? So one faculty is taking class of many students, right? So it will be one to many relation. It may be the one student is taking the class from two or more teachers or two or more faculties. So it will be one to n relation. So it will be in combination. We can say it is a many to many relation between faculty and the student, because many faculty are taking the classes of the student and many students are taking the classes from the many faculties. So if in your university only one faculty will be there who is teaching all the students, so it will be one to many relation. But here we have multiple faculties and multiple students, so we have a relationship that is many to many relationship. Getting it? Okay. Now this is another example. Is talking about relationship set. So in the customer table, we have these customer, and in the account table, we have these account number. Johnson is a depositor on its account, but it is a depositor and it is depositing in 2 days. It is depositing the value or money on 24th May 2005, and it is also depositing the money on 17 June 2005. In one day it is depositing in the account A101, and in one day it is depositing into the account A201. Getting? So what is the relationship between these two? What is the relationship between customers and the account? So it will be many to many. Why? Because one is associated with many, and here also one is associated with many. So it will be many to many relationship. And in the depositor is nothing but your relation, and relation can also have the attribute. So this diagram is telling you that not only entity will have the attribute. Entity will have attribute, it is okay, that customer has customer name, customer let's say the phone number, customer address, and all those things. Account will also have account number, and then account type, and then branch, all those things will be there. But the relationship which is in between customer and the account, there is a depositor relationship. That depositor relationship may also have attribute. So it will become a table into the database. So about that also we'll see later on. Let's not make it complex. So here I want to tell you this, that there is entities. Similar type of entity are called entity set, and every entity will have some properties which is called attribute. One entity will be associated with another entity with some relation, that is called relationship set. Relationship which is in between two entity may also have the attribute. It is not compulsory that the relationship set has the attribute. It may be, there is a chance that relationship may have the attribute. These are different symbols by which we define ER notations or ER diagrams, or we'll make the ER diagram with all these symbols. Okay, so as you can see, if we have the entity set in the rectangle shape, we'll just write the entity name here, and this will become entity set. Then we attribute, how we'll define attribute? With the oval shape we'll define attribute. With two line of rectangle, we can define weak entity set. So about the weak entity set, I'll tell you shortly. Then with the to-all shape, we'll define multi-valued attribute. So we have different type of attribute available. Then the relationship set. How we'll define relationship set? With the diamond shape, and we'll write the relationship inside the diamond shape. With the dotted oval shape, we can define the derived attribute. So this is also a type of attribute that we can define. So these are different type of attribute. This is a normal attribute, this is a multi-valued attribute, this is the derived attribute. This is another type of attribute where we have the oval shape and the name is with the dotted line. That is called discriminator attribute of weak entity set. So this, we'll talk about this. This is another type of attribute which is called primary key. So as I told you, one of the attribute can become the primary key. One of the attribute can become the primary key. So how we'll define that particular attribute is a primary key? So we'll make it as an underline. If we have two diamond shape, so that will be identifying the relationship set for weak entity set. So this is telling you the weak entity, the relationship between the weak entity set. This will telling you that how we'll define weak entity set. This will telling you that it is a multi-value attribute, and this will telling you about the key of or the discriminator of the weak entity set. Now this is talking you about the total participation of the entity set. So if we have two line in between the relation and the entity, we'll say it is a total participation. So many of these you haven't understand right now in this point of time. You doesn't have to worry about it. We need to do practice on this, and I'll tell you about all those attributes also. Let's see some other symbols. This symbol is telling you about many to many relationship. If we have this, here we have entity, here we have entity, in between we have relation, right? So what is the relation between one entity to another entity? If we just putting the line, it will be many to many. If we are putting a line and the arrow, it will become many to one. If we'll say arrow, it will become one to one. Or this particular thing, you can make it as a cardinality also. You can put a line and you can put the cardinality in just above the line. So it is a 1 to h, means 1 to many relationship in that way. Role name also you can write in between. Okay, about that also we'll see later on. Then we have some other type of symbol, as you can see, is a triangle symbol that is telling you about the specialization or generalization. Okay, and the two line is telling you about the total generalization. About the specialization and generalization also we'll see shortly. So all these are the different symbols that we'll use to create the ER diagram. Okay, and why we use the ER diagram? We use the ER diagram to represent the database management system in the pen and paper. As I told you, ER diagram is not an implementable model. It is just a reference model that will refer and will just use it before actually creating the database management system.